Okay, so basically, the rest of the problems in this chapter exercises section involves these kind of problems that are kind of coding logic problems that do ask you to do this very simple thing: print characters in a certain shape and make functions that do those things, and then take that simple building block that we work on and kind of build it up and up and up to do bigger and bigger and more elaborate shapes is kind of this whole thing. So I know a lot of you are having trouble with this, and I know that sometimes it's not enough to be able to see the final answer over here that they come up with. So I'm going to walk through these one at a time here and just kind of work my way through the whole set. So this first one is just asking us to write a function, line in, that returns a line with exactly n hashes. So when we call it with print line 5, we should get a line with 5 hashes on it. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to define line in, and I'm going to give it a docstring here. Remember, get into the habit of docstringing your functions and commenting your code, because it's going to make everything so much easier for you later on. It's a good habit to get into early when your code is very simple, so that it becomes second nature when you're writing more complicated code later on that you're trying to go back and fix, potentially days if not weeks after you've done so. So get into the habit of doing that. So this function returns a string with n hash characters in a single line. So there we go. And then all this does is just returns n times hash. And that should work. Let's see if this works. And then we'll call it print line 5. I wonder if this works. It does. Okay. This is kind of the simplest, easiest way to do what this is asking here, though based on having read these functions down here, I'm going to imagine that they're instead going to want us to set up a string like this, an empty string that we then add things to, because it's going to make building our strings for the later problems a little bit easier. So while this works, I'm going to rewrite this to work in a different way. So instead of just returning that series of hashes built kind of at the return line, which I don't know, maybe this isn't clear, but when I wrote this sentence, what we're getting is what this sentence will give us. Let me comment it out. Is this was going to print this, and it's doing that because when you multiply an integer, which is what n is here, n is 5. When you multiply an int by a string or a character, it essentially does repeated concatenation of that string. So it says, give me 5 hashes. So 5 hash. If I did, give me 5 double hashes instead, if I can remember where the hash key is. If I say give me 5 double hashes instead, I would get I would just simply get 10 hashes instead. So it's repeated concatenation. Now we are going to use that same idea to do this actual function. So for I in for I in range n, so up to n times take line string, which is currently an empty string, and make line string equal to itself, which is what plus equals means, plus a hashtag, a hash character, and that should return the same thing. So if we run this again, we see it returns the same value, because what it's doing is, in this for loop, it's doing 5 times, which is, n, which is 5. So 5 times it's going through and taking line string and turning it into line string plus hashtag. So if we do code lens here really quick, we can see how that gets built. So let me scroll over here. Each time through this for loop, it's going to take line string. So line string is currently just an empty string. The first time through, it's going to add a single hash character line string. The second time through, it's going to add another hash character. The third time through, it's going to add a third hash character, because every time through, line string becomes this. So this time, line string, when we get down to the adding section here, is 3 hashes. So 3 hashes plus 1 hash equals 4 hashes. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's clear what that's doing, that repeated concatenation, because that's what we're going to use to build the rest of these shapes. So that's the first one of these. We'll try to knock out 2 in the next video. So let's get to it.